What happens when one of Britain's most beloved actresses sits down for what should be a friendly morning chat, only to face a host who seems determined to humiliate her on live television? In just 49 seconds of polite small talk, the entire interview spirals into one of the most uncomfortable moments in daytime television history. This is the story of how Judi Dench walked off Lorraine Kelly's show after an exchange so tense that even the studio audience fell completely silent. The morning started like any other episode of the show. Lorraine Kelly sat behind her bright desk, surrounded by her panel of regulars. There was fashion expert Amber, showbiz correspondent Marcus, and lifestyle guru Rachel, all ready to discuss the latest celebrity news and trending topics. The energy in the studio felt light and cheerful as cameras prepared to roll. Judi Dench walked onto the set to warm applause from the studio audience. She wore an elegant navy blazer and smiled graciously as she took her seat across from Lorraine. The legendary actress had been invited to discuss her upcoming theater production, a passion project she had spent months preparing. She seemed genuinely excited to share details about the show. "Welcome, welcome," Lorraine said, her smile looking somehow forced despite the cheerful tone. "So lovely to have you here. Though I must say, I am surprised you found time in your schedule for us little people." Judy's smile faltered slightly. "Oh, well, I always make time to talk about work I care about," she replied kindly, clearly trying to brush past the odd comment. Right, Lorraine continued, shuffling papers on her desk. "Before we get into all that theater business, I have to ask, what is it like being, past your prime, but still trying to stay relevant in Hollywood?" The studio went quiet. Even the panel members exchanged uncomfortable glances. Amber looked down at her notes while Marcus shifted in his seat. Judi blinked, her composure intact, but her voice measured. "I beg your pardon?" "Well, you know what I mean," Lorraine said with a dismissive wave. "You had your moment, did all those big films, won your awards. But now younger actresses are taking all the good roles. Does that bother you? Being sort of, yesterday's news," the audience murmured uncomfortably. Judi sat up straighter, her legendary grace fully on display despite the shocking rudeness. "I think there is room for actresses of all ages in the industry," Judi responded carefully, "and I am quite happy with the work I am doing now. Theater has always been my first love." "Oh, theater," Lorraine said, pronouncing the word as though it tasted bad. "That is what people do when they cannot get film work anymore, is it not? When the camera just is not kind anymore?" Rachel, the lifestyle guru on the panel, cleared her throat loudly. "Lorraine, maybe we should talk about the actual production Judi is here to discuss," Lorraine shot. Rachel a sharp look. "I will get to that when I am ready. Thank you very much." She turned back to Judi. "I am just fascinated by this whole second-tier career thing. Like, do you ever look at someone like, say, Jennifer Lawrence or Margot Robbie and think, that used to be me?" "I do not compare myself to other actresses," Judi said, her voice remaining calm but growing cooler. "I celebrate their successes. There is no competition in art." "How diplomatic," Lorraine said with a smirk. "But come on, be honest with us. You must feel at least a little bit jealous, a little bit forgotten. I mean, when was the last time you were actually the first choice for a role? Really think about it." Marcus, the showbiz correspondent, jumped in. "Judi has an incredible theater production opening next week that sounds absolutely brilliant. Maybe we could hear about that." "Marcus, I am conducting this interview," Lorraine snapped. "If I want your input, I will ask for it." The tension in the studio became thick enough to cut. Judy's jaw tightened slightly, the only visible sign of her growing frustration. "Now, Judi," Lorraine continued, leaning forward with mock concern, "I have also been wondering, at your age, is it difficult to remember all those lines? Do you need special help? I have heard that happens to people when they get, older. The memory starts to go." "My memory is perfectly fine, thank you," Judi replied, her voice now carrying an edge. Are you sure? Lorraine pressed. Because I read somewhere that you needed extra time to learn your parts now. That the younger cast members have to be patient with you. Must be embarrassing, honestly. That is completely untrue, Judi said firmly. I have never needed extra time, and I would appreciate it if you stopped making things up about me on your program. Lorraine laughed, a sharp sound without any real humor. Oh, do not be so sensitive. I am just asking the questions everyone wants to know. Like, for instance, when are you going to retire? You have done enough, right? Would it not be nice to just, I do not know, stay home? Knit? Do whatever old people do? Amber gasped audibly from the panel. Lorraine, that is incredibly rude. Excuse me? Lorraine whipped her head toward Amber. Since when do you question how I run my show? Since you started attacking a guest for no reason, Amber shot back, her professionalism slipping in the face of such blatant disrespect. Lorraine's face flushed red. I am not attacking anyone. I am having a frank conversation. Maybe if everyone was not so precious and fake all the time, we would have better television. Judi remained remarkably composed, though her hands were now clasped tightly in her lap. I came here to discuss my work, not to be insulted. Insulted? Lorraine scoffed. Good grief. You celebrities are all the same. Cannot handle one honest question without crying about being insulted. This is exactly why people cannot stand Hollywood types. You all think you are so special, so above criticism. Asking someone when they plan to retire is not criticism, Judi said evenly. It is simply rude. Well, maybe I am just saying what everyone is thinking, Lorraine retorted. Maybe people are tired of seeing the same old faces taking up space when there are younger, fresher talents who deserve a chance. That is not how the industry works, Judi replied. And frankly, your understanding of it seems quite limited. Lorraine's eyes narrowed dangerously. Limited? You are calling me limited? I have been doing this show for years. I know more about entertainment than you could ever dream of knowing. If that were true, you would know how to treat a guest with basic respect, Judi said, her voice still controlled, but growing firmer. The audience began murmuring louder now. A few people even started clapping in support of Judi, which only seemed to infuriate Lorraine further. Oh, wonderful, Lorraine said sarcastically. The audience is against me now, too. Perfect. Just perfect. You know what? This is my show. Mine. And I will run it however I see fit. Rachel spoke up again. Lorraine, perhaps we should take a quick break. We are not taking a break, Lorraine shouted. We are going to sit here and finish this interview, whether any of you like it or not. Judi sat perfectly still, watching Lorraine's outburst with what could only be described as professional detachment. She had seen many things in her career, but this level of unprofessionalism was truly remarkable. You seem very upset, Judi observed calmly. Perhaps you are the one who needs a break. I do not need anything from you, Lorraine snapped back, especially not advice on how to do my job. I have been hosting this show successfully for years. Successfully is a matter of opinion, Judi replied quietly. Treating guests with contempt does not strike me as particularly successful. Lorraine's jaw clenched. You have a lot of nerve coming onto my show and criticizing me. You invited me here, Judi reminded her, and you began criticizing me the moment I sat down. I am simply responding to your behavior. My behavior? Lorraine laughed harshly. My behavior is called being a good interviewer, asking tough questions, not just sitting here and letting celebrities promote their little projects without any pushback. There is a difference between pushback and personal attacks, Judi said. Surely you understand that distinction. Oh, here we go, Lorraine muttered. The lecture. I should have known this was coming. She turned back to Judi with a venomous smile. So, since we are being so honest today, let me ask you something else. Do you ever regret not being more beautiful when you were younger? Like, if you had been prettier, maybe you would have had an even bigger career. Did you ever think about that? The studio went dead silent. Even Lorraine's most loyal panel members looked absolutely horrified. Marcus stood up from his seat. "Lorraine, that is completely out of line," he said, his voice shaking with anger. "You cannot say things like that to people." "Sit down, Marcus," Lorraine hissed. "You work for me, remember?" "Not after today, I do not," Marcus replied. "This is disgusting. Truly disgusting." Amber stood as well. "I cannot believe what I am hearing. This is not journalism. This is not entertainment. This is just cruelty." "Oh, both of you, sit down," Lorraine demanded. "You are making a scene." "You made the scene," Marcus shot back. "The moment you started attacking Judi for absolutely no reason. What is wrong with you?" Judi sat very still, her face pale, but her expression dignified. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, but clear enough for everyone to hear. "I have been in this industry for over 6 decades, she said. "I have worked with some of the most brilliant directors, actors, and writers in the world. I have been honored with awards and recognition beyond anything I ever imagined possible. But in all that time, across all those years, I have never, ever been spoken to with such deliberate cruelty and disrespect." "Oh, please," Lorraine rolled her eyes. "Stop being so dramatic." "You invited me here under false pretenses," Judi continued, ignoring the interruption. "You had no intention of discussing my work. You simply wanted someone to belittle, to make yourself feel important, and I will not sit here and allow it to continue." "What are you going to do?" Lorraine challenged. "Walk off? Go ahead. Run away. Prove that you cannot handle a real conversation." "A real conversation involves mutual respect," Judi said, beginning to remove her microphone. "This is not a conversation. This is you attempting to humiliate me for your own entertainment." Amber stood up from the panel. "Judi, I am so sorry. This is not what this show is supposed to be." "Do not apologize for me," Lorraine snapped at Amber. "I have nothing to be sorry for." Judi stood up gracefully, her microphone now removed and placed carefully on the chair. "You should be sorry," she said to Lorraine. "Not to me, necessarily, but to yourself. Because this behavior, this nastiness, it reflects poorly on no one but you." "Oh, how noble," Lorraine sneered. "The great Judi Dench taking the high road. What a performance. Is this how you act in all your plays now? All wounded and superior?" "I would rather be superior than cruel," Judi replied simply. Lorraine shot up from her seat, her face now bright red. "You think you are so much better than me, do you not? You think because you have done a few Shakespeare plays and some fancy films that you are somehow above me? Well, let me tell you something. You are nothing special. You are just an old woman desperately clinging to fame." The audience gasped collectively. Several people began booing. Rachel stood up from the panel as well, shaking her head in disbelief. "That is enough, Lorraine," Rachel said. "This has gone way too far." "Stay out of this, Rachel," Lorraine warned. "This is between me and her." "There is no this," Judi said calmly. "There is only you being needlessly vicious to someone who came here in good faith. I am leaving now. I hope someday you understand why what you did here was wrong. I truly hope you learn something from this experience." "I did nothing wrong," Lorraine shouted. "You are just too sensitive, too weak to handle honest questions, too fragile for reality." Judi began walking toward the exit. The audience started applauding, the sound growing louder with each step she took. Lorraine looked around wildly, clearly not expecting this reaction. "Stop clapping!" Lorraine yelled at the audience. "This is my show. You are supposed to be on my side always." But the applause only grew stronger. Marcus moved to escort Judi off the stage, offering his arm supportively. Amber followed close behind, having apparently decided she had seen enough as well. "Fine! Leave then!" Lorraine screamed after them. "I do not need any of you. I can do this show by myself." Rachel remained standing at the panel, looking between Lorraine and the departing guests, with clear distress on her face. "Lorraine, what have you done?" she asked quietly. "What have I done?" Lorraine repeated incredulously. "What have I done? I have been honest. That is what I have done. I have asked the questions that everyone is too afraid to ask. I have been real." "You have been horrible," Rachel said bluntly. "There is a difference between being honest and being cruel. You crossed every line." "Oh, not you too," Lorraine groaned. "I cannot believe everyone is turning on me like this." "You turned on your guest first," Rachel pointed out. "You attacked her the moment she sat down. For no reason. What did you think was going to happen?" Lorraine slumped back into her chair, looking around at the nearly empty panel and the still, applauding audience. The cameras were still rolling, capturing every moment of the disaster. "Turn those cameras off," Lorraine demanded to the crew. "I said turn them off. This interview is over." But Judi was already gone, having exited through the studio doors with Marcus and Amber flanking her protectively. The legendary actress never looked back, maintaining her dignity and grace even in the face of such unprecedented hostility. Back on the set, Lorraine sat alone at her desk, Rachel having quietly walked away as well. The audience slowly stopped clapping, replaced by confused murmuring. The host stared at her papers, at the empty chair across from her, at the panel seats that were now mostly vacant. "We will be right back after this break," she said weakly to the camera, her earlier bravado completely deflated. The floor manager made frantic cutting motions, and the red recording lights finally went dark. Production assistants rushed around, trying to figure out what to do next. Lorraine remained at her desk, seemingly unable to process what had just happened. The interview that was supposed to be a simple promotional chat had turned into a complete catastrophe. Judi Dench, one of the most respected actresses in the world, had been forced to walk off a morning talk show because the host could not control her own need to tear someone down. In those 49 seconds after Judi first sat down, Lorraine had set the tone for the entire disaster. What should have been a pleasant conversation about theater and passion and art became a masterclass in how not to conduct an interview. Every question had been designed to hurt, to diminish, to make Judi feel small. But Judi had refused to be made small. She had answered with grace, with patience. And when that patience had finally run out, she had removed herself from the situation with the same elegance she brought to everything she did. The contrast between the two women could not have been starker. Judi, calm and composed, even when under attack. Lorraine, aggressive and defensive when challenged on her behavior. The actress who had spent decades perfecting her craft versus the host who seemed to think cruelty was the same as honesty. As Judi left the building, several crew members approached to apologize. She thanked them kindly, making it clear she held no ill will toward anyone except the person who had orchestrated the ambush. Marcus walked her to her car, still apologizing profusely for his boss's behavior. "Please do not worry," Judi told him gently. "You were very kind to speak up. That took courage." "It was the right thing to do," Marcus replied. "I have never seen her act like that before. Well, not that badly anyway. I am so sorry you had to experience it." "Some people feel powerful when they make others feel small," Judi said wisely. "It says everything about them and nothing about their targets." Amber caught up with them at the car. "Judi, I am leaving the show. After today," she said. "I cannot work somewhere that treats people like that." "That's your choice to make," Judi replied. "But make sure you are doing it for the right reasons, not just because of me." "It is because of what I saw today," Amber insisted. "If she can treat someone like you that way, imagine how she treats people behind the scenes. People who do not have your status or ability to stand up for themselves." Judi nodded thoughtfully. "Then I support your decision. We should all work in environments that align with our values." Back inside the studio, Lorraine remained at her desk as producers frantically tried to salvage the rest of the show. Rachel had returned to the panel, but her expression was cold and distant. The audience looked confused and uncomfortable, unsure of what they had just witnessed. "Okay, everyone," one of the producers announced. "We are going to take a longer break and then come back with our cooking segment. Lorraine, can we talk to you privately?" Lorraine stood up stiffly and followed the producer off set. The audience began chattering amongst themselves, phones already out as they texted and called friends about the incredible scene they had just witnessed. "Did you see her face when Judi walked off?" one audience member whispered to another. "I cannot believe she said those things," someone else replied. "Who talks to Judi Dench like that?" "I felt so bad for her," a third person added. "She was so polite even when Lorraine was being absolutely awful." The murmurs continued, each person sharing their shock and disbelief at what had transpired. Several people mentioned they would never watch the show again after witnessing such cruelty. Meanwhile, in a private office, Lorraine faced 3 very unhappy producers. "What were you thinking?" the head producer demanded. "You just humiliated one of Britain's most beloved actresses on live television." "I was trying to make good television," Lorraine insisted. "I was being provocative." "You were being abusive," another producer corrected. "There is a massive difference. We brought her here to promote her play, and you attacked her personally from the first question." "She could handle it," Lorraine said defensively. "She is a professional." "Being a professional does not mean you have to tolerate being insulted," the head producer replied sharply. "And now, we have lost 3 of our panel members, possibly permanently. Marcus and Amber have already said they are done. Rachel is considering it." Lorraine's face paled slightly. "They will come back. They need this job." "No, Lorraine, you need this job," the producer said coldly. "And after today's performance, I am not sure how long you're going to have it." The host opened her mouth to argue, but found no words. The reality of the situation was starting to sink in. She had let her ego and her need for drama override all professional judgment, and now she was facing real consequences. Out in the parking lot, Judi sat in her car for a moment before starting the engine. She took a deep breath, centering herself after the ordeal. Then she started the car and drove away, leaving the chaos behind her. She had handled the situation with remarkable grace, never stooping to Lorraine's level, never raising her voice or losing her temper. She had simply stated the truth, removed herself from a toxic situation, and maintained her dignity throughout. The morning had started with the promise of a pleasant interview about work she loved. It had ended with her walking off a television set for the first time in her long and distinguished career. But she had no regrets about her decision. Some bridges, she understood, were meant to be burned. As she drove through London, her phone began buzzing with messages from friends and colleagues who had been watching. All of them expressed outrage at how she had been treated, support for her decision to leave, and admiration for how she had handled such a difficult situation. Judi smiled slightly as she read through them at a red light. The theater community was a close one, and word would spread quickly about what had happened. She suspected that Lorraine Kelly's reputation had taken a hit from which it would not easily recover. Back at the studio, the show limped through the rest of its segments with a visibly shaken host and a depleted panel. The energy was completely off. The usual warmth and friendliness replaced with awkward tension. Even the cooking segment, normally a lighthearted affair, felt strained and uncomfortable. Lorraine tried to act as though nothing had happened, but her smile looked painted on, and her laugh sounded forced. Rachel barely spoke unless directly addressed, her body language making her displeasure clear. The audience remained subdued. Their earlier enthusiasm completely evaporated. When the show finally ended, Lorraine rushed off the set without her usual goodbye to the crew. She locked herself in her dressing room, ignoring the knocks from producers and assistants. Through the door, people could hear her making angry phone calls, though to whom and about what remained unclear. The crew began packing up the equipment, their conversations dominated by what had happened with Judi. Many of them had worked with the actress before and held her in high regard. Watching her be treated so poorly had left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. "I have worked on this show for 3 years," one camera operator said to another. "I have never seen anything like that. It was like watching someone deliberately sabotage themselves." "She was so rude from the very beginning," a sound technician agreed. "Like she planned it or something. Who does that to a guest?" "Someone who cares more about drama than decency," the camera operator replied. As the day wore on, the story began spreading beyond the studio walls. Social media lit up with clips and commentary. People who had watched the show live shared their shock and disgust. Many jumped to Judi's defense, praising her for walking away rather than enduring further abuse. Judi herself arrived home and immediately called her theater company to let them know what had happened. They were supportive and understanding, some even angry on her behalf. She thanked them for their concern, but insisted she was fine, ready to focus on the upcoming production. "Let us make the play brilliant," she told her director. "That is the best response to this morning's nonsense. We will create something beautiful and meaningful, and that will speak louder than any talk show ever could." The director agreed wholeheartedly. The rest of the cast sent messages of support, many having already seen clips of the interview circulating online. They rallied around their leading lady, determined to show the world what real artistry looked like. Evening came, and Judi sat in her garden with a cup of tea, reflecting on the strange day. She had been in the industry long enough to encounter all sorts of people and situations. Some were wonderful, some were challenging, and some, like today, were simply unpleasant. But she had never compromised her values or her self-respect, and she was not about to start now. Walking away had been the right choice, the only choice really. No job, no publicity, no television appearance was worth sacrificing one's dignity. She thought about Lorraine, sitting in that studio, so desperate to create a moment that she had destroyed relationships and her own reputation in the process. It was sad, in a way. The host clearly felt she needed to tear others down to build herself up, not understanding that such tactics only revealed her own insecurities. Judi had built a career on lifting others up, on collaboration and kindness and mutual respect. She had worked with legends and newcomers alike, treating everyone with the same consideration and professionalism. That approach had served her well for 6 decades, and she saw no reason to change it now. As the sun set over her garden, Judi finished her tea and went inside to review her lines for rehearsal the next day. The morning's drama was already fading into memory, just another strange footnote in a long and remarkable career. She had more important things to focus on, like bringing a beloved play to life for audiences who actually appreciated art and artistry. The show would go on. Her show, the one that mattered, the one in the theater where respect and creativity flourished. That was where she belonged, not on some morning program with a host who valued shock over substance. And so the day that had begun with such promise and ended in such chaos finally drew to a close. Judi Dench, dignified and unbowed, prepared for tomorrow's work. Somewhere across London, Lorraine Kelly likely faced a very different evening, dealing with the consequences of her actions. The contrast between them remains stark, a reminder that how we treat others says everything about who we are.